Welcome to From the Shed End podcast with myself, T.Dot, Theo. As always, how you doing?
Not too bad. Enjoyable weekend as always when Chelsea win, so can't complain. It's blue skies at the moment, even though it's bloody freezing. But otherwise, I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, not bad, not bad. Same. Totally got the prediction wrong, but yeah, blue skies, blue skies. Very cold, obviously up in north. But yeah, not a good, not a good, not a bad start to the week. I've had worse weeks to start on. So yeah, good positive result. Anyone who's listening, watching, you can only watch this on. So anyone who's watching, we do have a podcast that we do on a weekly basis. You can catch up on that on Spotify or Apple Music as well. So search From the Shed End. You'll be able to find us on there. Other podcast outlets as well, but those are the two main ones. So give us a listen. Let us know your thoughts. We've been nearly doing it a year, Theo. I checked. I think it was the 6th of April was the first episode we did. So we're nearly coming up to a year from the Shed End in terms of podcasts. But let's get straight into it because obviously, I think I said 1-0 for the prediction. I can't remember what you said, but it was
I said 1-1.
Yeah, well, to be fair, it could have been in the first half, but let's get into it. But obviously, Burnley, Chelsea, 4-0 Chelsea, brilliant result. Reece James looks the Reece James that we needed for the best part of this season. But let's talk about the game for the first half first, because I do feel like it was a game of two halves. I felt like, we were sort of very lucky first half. Second half, we kind of cranked up the gears. But let's just talk about the first half. No surprises with the lineup that I can really think of. Maybe obviously Alonso being out with COVID, but Saul Niguez done okay. I thought he done okay in that position. What was your thoughts?
Yeah, like you said, when you don't have Alonso, Kennedy still probably doesn't have the full trust of the manager. And Saul Niguez played what was a very good game against Luton. You feel like he merits his place in that starting 11. Obviously, the reason he left Atletico was to avoid that left wing back position. So he wanted to be playing in that more central midfield role. But I thought he did all right. I thought he did really well. I know that he's kind of played in that position occasionally, but given that it's still fairly unnatural to him, I was quite impressed by his performance. He did get caught out once in the first half. I think it was Aaron Lennon who managed to get past him quite easily and then put quite a dangerous ball into the box, which I think maybe Thiago Silva just cleared off the line.
Yeah.
But right before that, he actually put a very good ball for Kai Havertz, which fizzed past him and then actually reached Reece James, who managed to, I think his shot was blocked. But no, it's quite an impressive performance. It's definitely an option to have a left wing back. I don't want to see it too often. I think in the bigger games, you probably would rather have an Alonso or Chilwell when he's fit. But no, he did very well. I was quite impressed.
Yeah, definitely. And I know it was one of those things that he wanted to get away from. At Atletico, he didn't want to be played at left wing back, and it is a question around obviously Kennedy, who was recalled. It looks more so now as just a backup option. It doesn't look like he's in Tuchel's immediate plans to play. You would have thought, bar the Luton game, he hasn't featured at all, I don't think, for Chelsea. So it's not the end of the world at all. I think Saul Niguez can do a job there. He done it very well, like you said, for most parts of the game. I do feel like in the first half, if I'm honest, we were very, I don't want to say sloppy, because I don't think it was to the extent of sloppiness, but I do think there were things where, we allowed Burnley we invited a lot of pressure. That there was a high line from Burnley, which I didn't expect. I expected them to defend and try and keep it compact to the back, but they came straight to it. They wanted to try and score. I think from a Burnley perspective, I think if they thought they could get an early goal, it would rattle us. We might end up, because it was, like you said, the Thiago Silva clearance off the line. They had a couple of opportunities in the first half as well, and I thought, we need to get a goal soon. Going in at half time, it didn't look anywhere clear like how we were going to score. You didn't really see it. The link-up play with the front three wasn't really there. Mason Mount, I thought, had a quiet game again. I don't think he was as impactful as we've kind of seen him in certain games. But overall, to kind of go in against Burnley, Turf Moor, we said it was going to be difficult to go in at half-time. Obviously, whatever Tuchel said to the players, it worked because, coming out second half, it's like it's almost like there was a totally different team coming out. Give me your thoughts on Reece James, because he was, I don't know, man. I don't even know how to explain him, but he was spot on Saturday. Couldn't. I think he was my man of the match. I think I would have gave it to him if I'm honest.
Yeah, before I talk about Reece James, like you mentioned, I thought we were very lucky to go into that dressing room at half time still at 0-0. Even
Mm.
Thiago Silva clearance off the line, but Mendy put at one point an awful punch,
Yeah.
and I think McNeil skied it afterwards. But could have easily been 1-0 for Burnley, and they probably deserved it. Expected goals in that first half, I think, were 0.76 for Burnley and 0.16 or 17 for Chelsea. So we didn't create anything. We looked quite lackluster, not a bit sloppy, like you mentioned. The second half, or like whatever Tuchel told them at halftime, or whatever he put in their Lucasades, it did the trick. Because one player, the one you just mentioned, Reece James, was superb. Almost exactly what we've missed over the last month or two, our last 8 weeks since he's been injured. We talk about him as a defender, but he is also an option to score goals, to assist goals. And that goal he scored is something you'd expect from a Kai Havertz, a Pulisic. It was a brilliant finish, near post for Pope, but he put it right at that angle where Pope couldn't save it. And he dribbled past with those players or dummied it. And it was a bit like the one he scored against Juventus from that kind of angle. And a really impressive performance. And he just seems like the complete right back. I think when we're having this debate now of who's the best right back or right wing back in the world, there's maybe 3 or 4 options. I think Reece James, Trent Alexander-Arnold, Hakimi, and Cancelo. But I think Reece James, for me, ticks more boxes than Trent in terms of his actual defensive play as well. So it's a huge boost to have him back, and that goal was kind of the icing on the cake, for his comeback performance. And I'm glad that we managed to take him off, maybe just to rebuild his match fitness gradually, because we didn't want him playing the 490, given that he's been out for quite a while. But like I said, huge boost.
Yeah, and also got another assist as well for Reece James. I think for the Havertz
second goal, Havertz.
Yeah. So I mean, it was like I said earlier, a game of 2 halves. I thought that we came out second half, we just look like a totally different team. The attacking front three were so much better. Defensively, we were a lot tighter, and it just something clicked. Something clicked. Obviously, I thought Trevor Chalobah really got. We haven't mentioned him, but I thought they were outstanding as well. I couldn't really put anyone wrong. I think for Burnley, it was a lot easier because they just left so many gaps, so many pockets of space, in their sort of defence, and it was just easy. We had so much more time on the ball to pick out the passes, but even trying to sort of clear their lines was just the basic things they couldn't get right. I think for the Pulisic goal, I think they have possession of the ball at some point. I think, and they just can't clear the line. So, to be able to do that, and Pulisic just, it's almost a tap-in for him. But Kai Havertz, let's talk about him, because he seems to be the player that I think we spoke about in the previous podcast episode, around the fact that he's almost now a number 9. He's almost that player that you expect to see playing that number 9 role. This false 9 sort of narrative around him kind of is non-existent now. He plays that role very well. So is this a role that you can see him playing more so in the future? And if so, what does that spell for the likes of Lukaku or a Timo Werner?
I think definitely Kai Havertz at false 9 seems to suit the system that we're trying to play with Tuchel, the wing backs, a lot better than when we play it with Lukaku. And his performance was superb. I mean, before that game at Turf Moor, he only had 2 league goals, and he doubled that after the 90 minutes. And I think the reason that he didn't want to bring Lukaku on is maybe because he wanted Havertz to try to get maybe a hat-trick, or it could have easily been the perfect hat-trick. But one thing I want to praise Kai Havertz with is his aerial ability. I don't think it gets spoken about enough. He's a tall boy, and his last 2 league goals against Burnley in the reverse fixture and Liverpool at the start of the season were both headers. His first goal against Burnley this weekend was a header. I think he scored a header against Southampton in the League Cup, a header against Lille. He's a talented player in the air, and that was his first brace, I think, for Chelsea since the game against Fulham last April or May. I can't remember when it was, but no, I think it's a bit worrying for Lukaku, because we do seem to play our best football with Havertz instead of Lukaku. But at the same time, I hope it's a bit of a wake-up call for Lukaku. And maybe, like I always said, if he needs to start to realise the system's not built around me, but I need to adapt to the system instead. But no, I'm really pleased for Havertz, and hopefully that he had a bit of a slow first season, but he seems to be really showing what he's worth now.
Yeah, 100%. And you kind of see that Havertz is enjoying his football And we also have to remember the season that he came, you know, he was coming with high expectations. He also you got to factor in the COVID issues that he had as well. So he's you know, it is a massive adapt, you know, to adapt to the English football, you know, the way of living here as well. I know it's not too much, it's not that similar to Germany, but just in terms of, you know, the different lifestyle, moving abroad, you know, just moving away probably from family and friends, etc. It was going to take a bit of time, but it looks like we're kind of seeing what, you know, a lot of Chelsea fans, you know, myself included, have been asking for, is a bit of consistency with that front three, you know, having someone that you can almost build that front three around, which would be, for me, would be Kai Havertz, because I think he's the one that suits that role so much better. You know, you get much more fluid football, a lot more movement as well from that front three. There's a lot more link up and interchanging as well, which when you've got someone like Lukaku in there, you can't necessarily do that. You know, you couldn't really do that. And if there was ever a reason why we wanted to put Havertz on the left and put Pulisic in the middle, you can do that. That's what City do sometimes. They'll have Mahrez play through the middle, or they'll have like, you know, Jack Grealish or whoever, Raheem Sterling. They swap them around, and that's why it's difficult for teams to defend against them, because they're not sure who to pick up and where to pick them up from. So, you know, and you know, not to talk about the Manchester derby, but we've seen that yesterday in their game. It was difficult for them to pinpoint who to pick up. But if we can do a bit more of that and play, you know, use Havertz to his strengths, you know, I don't see a way in for Lukaku. I really don't. I think, you know, and it's a shame, but, you know, I think, you know, sometimes these things do happen. The same for Timo Werner. You know, we don't really speak about him, but you know, I think Havertz has to be the guy going forward. Yes, he's in form. I might, you know, would I be saying that if he didn't get the 2 goals and he, you know, missed 2 stinkers? Probably not. But the fact he's in form, the fact is he's showing consistency and maintaining that level that we need at Chelsea, for me, it's a no-brainer.
No, I'd have to agree. I always say, who would you rather take into a big game? And right now, based on form, if we were probably the lead a second leg, or if we had a bigger opposition in the quarterfinals, it'd probably still be Havertz, simply because, like you said, we look more fluid in that front three, and the link-up play between him, Pulisic, Ziyech, Mount just seems a lot sharper and a lot more fluid. So it's a bit of a shame for Lukaku, but at the same time, I hope it's a wake-up call for him. And we've got Norwich on Thursday, Newcastle Sunday. Not a big amount of time between those 2 games. You'd think Lukaku will play a part in one of those 2 games, and if he doesn't, I think it kind of indicates what Tuchel's really thinks about his system and his players that he's got.
Yeah. Let's talk about Thursday. Obviously, we got Norwich, who are, let's say, struggling. Let's give them a bit of credit. They're struggling. You know, they're 17 points, 4 wins this season out of 27 games. I hate saying this because it always comes back to haunt me, but this is a game we should be winning with ease. Whether we've got Lukaku or we've got, you know, 10 men, we don't use a number 9. We should be beating Norwich. What's your thoughts going into that game? Because it is, as much as you know, I'm joking about it. It's a you know, sort of game that we are game in hand to an extent. What's your thoughts on that game?
Like you said, it's a game that we should be winning. We must be winning. We can't drop points against Norwich. They're almost destined to get relegated given their form. They lost to Brentford at the weekend, and Brentford have been really struggling for form. So it's gonna. I know Carrow Road can be quite a tricky ground to go to occasionally. We don't have the best of records there. We've just managed to scrap wins by 1 goal margins in the past. But I think this season is different. I do expect rotation in the squad. I do think if Alonso's still out with COVID, I think this is a chance for Kennedy to play and maybe bring back Alonso on Sunday or a Sal on Sunday if Alonso's still not fit. The Christensen situation is still a bit up in the air. He's almost destined to sign for Barcelona this week or sign a pre-agreement, and you wonder, do you play him if his head's not with Chelsea? It's a bit of a tricky one, but like I said, it's a must-win. It's kind of that game where you go into it expecting nothing else but 3 points. That's how I felt in the reverse game at Stamford Bridge. Walking to Stamford Bridge, I thought, you know, it's going to be 3 points. It's going to be hopefully a comfortable win. It was a 7-0 win. So, I think it's going to be a Chelsea win, and nothing other than a win will be a big, big disappointment, especially when top 4 is looking really, really tight at the moment.
It's interesting you said top 4. It's almost like you just read my mind. I'm just bringing up the table that we've got here now. look at that table there. I mean, Arsenal, credit to them. I don't think anyone would have had them in fourth position a few months ago. They were sort of struggling, but they've managed to claw themselves into there. Obviously, United seem to look like they're almost clinging on for dear life. But just in terms of let's forget first and second, because obviously we know City and Liverpool are fighting out for the league and second place, but third and fourth, let's add fifth into there as well. I mean, we're in pole position, we're in the driver's seat, but things can change overnight, and I think that Norwich game is very crucial. If we lose that, you look at that's 2 games then that Arsenal will have on us as well. So what's your thoughts on that? I mean, if Arsenal win their 2 games, we're almost playing them fighting out for 4th spot with Manchester United.
Arsenal lost their 3 first games this season against Brentford, then us, then City, and you always felt it's going to be a classic Arsenal season. They'll finish outside the top 4, even top 6 again. But credit to them, they've got their act together. They stuck with Arteta. They got rid of all the bad players in the batch, the likes of Mustafi, of Aubameyang, all those players that were causing issues in the dressing room, and they've got their act together. And you look at that table, they're breathing down our necks, and I don't want to say it's scary because it's still Arsenal, but at the same time, if they overtake us, even if we finish 4th and they're 3rd, I'll be pissed off.
Yeah.
The one thing, yeah.
Sorry, go on.
I was going to say the one thing that kind of reassures me is it's the same with Arsenal. I don't want to jinx it, but we've got a relatively easy run of games coming up. We've got Norwich, we've got Newcastle, then I think it's Brentford, then it's Southampton, then it's Leeds. And those are games on paper. If you're Chelsea, if you want to be finishing 3rd or respectively in the top 4, you need to be winning. And we've still got to play Arsenal at home. And that's going to be a big, big game at Stamford Bridge. Really big game. You don't know what it's going to look like in terms of point difference at that stage. But it's going to be a nervy 2-3 months until the end of the table, I feel.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say before. I think that Arsenal game that's going to be the decider. I think obviously there'll be games to play, either side of that fixture, but I think that will. I mean, it all depends on Arsenal. They still have a lot of work to do. Yes, they've done very well to get into the top 4, but they are very up and down. They are very mediocre in their results. But we can't rule out anyone. I mean, I look at West Ham. I can't really rule them out. Yes, they're on 28 games, but I do think they still have an opportunity to still, mathematically get into that top 4. So I think from a Chelsea perspective, all we can do is win our games. And like you said, we do have some relatively easy on paper fixtures, that we should be winning. We should be, getting 3 points out of them. But you and I both know that we only have to go
Nothing's easy.
No, not at all. We only have to go back to December and look at some of those. I don't know why this always sticks in my head. It must have been a really bad game, but the Watford game, I think it was the 1-1. At Vicarage Road. Those kind
we actually won that game, but it felt like a defeat given how badly we played. I think.
See, there you go. So, that was it. It was. We did win. There was a 1-1, and it was a poor game.
Everton, I think Everton at home,
Everton.
maybe. Yeah,
it was Everton. I should know that. But those sort of results are the results that we should have been winning. And if we go back to December, maybe summer, January. We look at some of those results, we probably would be where Liverpool are. If we're being realistic, we would be looking at competing for the league still. You think back to when we were top of the league and people were tipping us for the Premier League as well, even before the season started. So, it is difficult. And I know I asked you, if not last week, the week before, is it a successful season if we win, the Club World Cup? And looking at this, if we don't make top 4, has it still been a successful season? Obviously not winning the League Cup as well. I'd probably say it hasn't been. When you think about bringing in a Lukaku, yes, he hasn't done well, but bringing in someone with that much money, the expectation, the games, the points that we dropped, has it been a good season? Probably not. Not in the largest scale of looking at things. I probably wouldn't say it has been.
No, I'd have to agree. If we finish outside the top 4, the only thing that can make it become a good season is if we win the Champions League. Honestly, that's the only way we can turn it around. We automatically qualify for next season's competition. And when you win the Champions League, you almost forget about your domestic form. Like it happened in 2012. We were awful, finished 6th, but Newcastle won the Champions League. No one actually looks as a Chelsea fan at the league table that season. So,
I don't think anyone looks at the league tables after the season's finished. Probably like the likes of you, because I know you like your your results and stuff, but there's not many fans that will go back to 2009 and say, oh, we lost X amount. Fans aren't
Yeah.
that like that. So, but I get your point 100%. Let's talk about Christensen. I know I said we weren't going to, but he did annoy me this morning when I read it, and you made a good point, because obviously he had his medical the day after the League Cup final. I think it's in two parts, I read this morning. So he's had the first part last Monday, obviously after the cup final. I'm pretty sure. Now, I did read this at like 10 to 5 this morning, so or 10 to 6 this morning, so it was very early, but I'm pretty sure he's either having the medical today or he's having a medical at some point the second part this week, with the deal to be wrapped up by the end of the week. Verbal agreement's been done already. It's just a matter of time, and they're trying to tread on eggshells to make sure that he doesn't disrupt Chelsea's season, which you'd expect. I don't think, the same will probably happen to Aspilicueta. It's probably happening as we speak. I just think from a respect perspective, I don't think those deals will be announced during this season. I think it'll be to the back end of the season that we might hear that. But I think what you just said before we came on, you've kind of resigned to the idea that he's leaving, and so have I. I think the fact he didn't come on, he didn't play yesterday on Saturday as well. He's on the bench, so you kind of think Tuchel, maybe someone's told Tuchel not to play him, or Tuchel's decided not to play him so he doesn't get injured, so he doesn't affect his medicals, etc. It'd be a shame to see him go. He's had a good. I think he's had a good career at Chelsea. Love him to stay. You think back to some of his early days when he broke into the senior squad, but these things happen. Players move and go, but we just have to take it on the chin.
Yeah, I've resigned to the fact that he is going to leave. It's a done deal. When Fabrizio Romano starts talking about it, you just know it's going to happen in a way. And he's kind of won it all at Chelsea. He's won the big trophies, the Premier League. He was in the squad that won the Premier League in 2015, won the Champions League last season. He probably wants a new challenge, a new lifestyle. But I just want players that are committed to the club, that want to play for the club. The likes, we've got Chalobah, who seems like a great talent that can step in. I want to say Rudiger's going to sign that deal. I feel like it's going to happen. I've got a gut feeling it's going to happen now, with the focus is on Christensen signing these pre-deals with other teams. That I feel no one really speaks about Rudiger anymore, and I feel maybe he's just kind of likes that bit of attention and wants to announce it last week of the season or whatever it may be. But I think that's going to happen. But at the same time, it is a bit blow, because the last couple of seasons he's looked like a brilliant footballer. He really grew into that Tuchel system. He adapted really well. But it probably means we're going to have to dive into the transfer market this summer. And realistically, I don't see there being many replacements that can come in straight away and adapt to Tuchel's system in the back three. Fill Christensen's boots, maybe even Rudiger's boots should he leave. But that's what kind of worries me. When we look at the players we've got on loan, the likes of Ampadu, who's very versatile, can play CDM, can play centre-back. That's an option. Or we just go out and get a Koundé, get a Delete, get a Fofana, but that's going to cost us a lot of money. So, and we don't know if we're going to have this money anymore with the change of ownership. So.
I was waiting for you to say that. But it's true. No, it is true. We don't know what we don't know at the moment. But I think he's been a good servant to the club, and I see obviously fans are disgruntled that he's leaving, but you can't really blame him. The options were there for us to sign him on, whether that was we just didn't meet the demands that he wanted, or the valuation that he thought he was. But these things happen in football, and like you said, I'm sure we'll chip into the transfer market with our new owners. I say owners with a S because I'm pretty sure it'll be more than one. But just give me, before we wrap up, and I don't know if we'll be able to do the preview, so let's get our Norwich predictions in now, just in case we don't. And if we do another preview, at least you can change them as well. But what would you say for the Norwich game?
I think if we have that boost from that Burnley performance, we show that if we're clinical like we were in our second half, we can score goals, we can take our chances, especially if Havertz starts, Pulisic delivers in terms of creativity and assists, Reece James plays again. I think we'll win it comfortably and there will be goals. I'm going to say 3-0 Chelsea.
I was actually going to say 3-0. I was going to say 3-0. I think it'd be easy. I think we'll score the goals in the first half. I think we'll just get rid of them. And I think, to be honest, Norwich are there for the taking. Like I said, I think they've got 4 wins this season. 17 points. They're basically, relegated. And we have to remember what they did to Billy Gilmore as well. Let's not forget that. So we do need to give them a good thrashing, just for that reason. New manager, I don't really care, but we need to get 3 points as well. So I'm going to go 3-0, 3 points. Let's try and get that over the line. I'd love it nothing more to see Arsenal not make the Champions League this season or next season.
100%, especially when they've gotten so cocky and sure that they can make top four. It'll be lovely to see them crumble, and maybe even, I hate them as well, but even if United take that spot, or even Spurs, honestly, even if Spurs get ahead of Arsenal, I wouldn't mind that.
Well, big game, Super Frank tonight. I'm sure I'll definitely be watching. But Everton, Spurs tonight.
Still be backing Everton there. I'll still be backing Everton.
Of course, 100%. I mean, I've been living up here. I've kind of got no choice but to. But Super Frank's got to get a tune out of them. They're actually in trouble. No, we've still got to talk about Frank Lampard. He's still Chelsea to me, but they're in trouble, Everton. They really are. I think if they lose tonight, I think I might put money on them to go down, because it's not looking good for them at all. And it'd be a shame for Lampard, because he's come into this job with probably the expectation to keep Everton up, to be fair. They have got a couple of games in hand, but they're literally a point above relegation at the moment.
There is weaker teams in the Premier League, but it's just their form has been atrocious.
They don't always go down, though. This is the thing. With the weaker teams, you look at Burnley. I mean, thankfully, hopefully, they go down, because they've been hovering for years. I know they finished quite high, I think 7th one season, but Burnley, Sean Dyche, they've got to go down. But if Everton go down, it'd be sad, because they are a big club. And during our lifetimes, they've never been. I think they had one season where they beat the drop a few years ago. But I hope Frank keeps them up. I hope he gets the backing of the owners in the summer and brings in some players, because he needs to do well there. Hopefully I get to see him at the under-23 game that got postponed. Let's hope for a win on Thursday. Big game against Norwich. Theo, as always, thank you very much for joining me. Pleasure as always. We'll try and get a podcast in at some point this week, hopefully with another 3 points under our belt. But anyone who's watching, make sure, as I said at the start of this, we do our podcast on a weekly basis. So make sure you check out Spotify or Apple Podcast. Search From the Shed End as well. All our socials at the very top of the screen here as well. So just make sure you give those a like and a follow as well. But until next time, we will be back hopefully later on this week. Thank you very much for watching. From myself and Theo, we'll be back soon.